Good day, everyone. For today's discussion is all about globalization and globalism, informationalism, and global citizenship. But let's go first to globalization and globalism. The learning outcomes of my discussion is to define what is globalization, globalism, informationalism, global citizenship, and to differentiate between globalization and globalism. I have a question here. What is the difference between globalization and globalism? Many people would think the two terms, which are globalization and globalism, refer to the same phenomenon. However, there are important differences between them. So later on, we will get the answer. So what is globalization? We can simply define globalization as the spread of technology, products, information, and jobs across nations. Globalization is a multidimensional economic and social process that began in the late 1970s. It involves a variety of interlinked economic, social, communicational, political, and environmental phenomena. And also, globalization is characterized by the interconnection of local private and public markets in one global arena, with respect to globally accepted rules and regulations. The phenomenon of globalization results in the advent of open markets, reduction of traffic, the beginning of free trade economies through non-tariff trade borders, and the development of infrastructure and transportation. And also, globalization leads to interaction among various populations, greater exchange of values and ideas among various cultures, and creates a trend toward the development of single world culture. We can also describe globalization as composed of internationalization and localization. Globalization has both positive and negative effects. It can affect the economy, society, culture, and politics of individual countries. Since globalization creates free markets, it has a beneficial impact on large state multinational corporations, but it can cause damage to small businesses and local cultural identities. So, open market and open mobility of people that are a result of globalization can cause uncontrollable migrations, which create issues in the social as well as political stability sa local community. So globalization has advantages and disadvantages, but these are just some. So one of the advantages is that with the implementation of globalization, technology has been altered to a great extent and paved the way for overall development. And the other one is globalization has helped provide better services to people worldwide and increase the GDP rate. And one of its disadvantages is it can raise the problem or inequality everywhere in the world by increasing specialization, which results in poverty. And globalization favors industrialization that sometimes harms the environment. So, globalization involves both benefits and risks. So, what is globalism? According to Robertson 2003, globalism is a conscious process of globalization or a set of policies designed specifically to effect greater global rather than international interactions. And also, according to Wilson and Whitmore, 2000, globalism is the ideological orientation underlying new liberal policies that affect the world, and this is known as the new liberal agenda. So, globalism is a broad term we can generally define as an ideological commitment in favor of globalization. It's a view that considers globalization as entirely positive. Moreover, the ideology of globalism is based on the belief that people, information, and goods should be able to cross national borders unrestricted. It places the interests of the entire globe above the interests of individual nations. And globalism can also refer to a socio-economic system that is dedicated to free trade and free access to markets. Now, let's go back to the question, what is the difference between globalization and globalism. Although the two terms are similar concepts, but there is a difference between globalism and globalization, is that globalism is an ideology based on that belief that people, information, and goods should be able to cross national borders unrestricted, like what I said earlier. While globalization is the spread of technology, products, information, and jobs across nations. And also in the nature, globalization involves increasing interconnection between people and regions throughout the world, while globalism is the ideological component of globalization. Now, let's move on to informationalism. Now, let's go to its introduction. Globalism is tied to the notion of networks. According to Castell's 2000, networks constitute the fundamental pattern of life of all kinds. It was mentioned earlier that the world is connected in the present and past. The difference between globalism and globalization is the speed and thickness or intensity of connections. Even so, people are attached with one another, whether as a small community or as a large community. So, what is informationalism? It is the technological paradigm associated with computer science and modern telecommunication that replaces industrialism, according to Castell's 2004. So, and this is not to say that we don't need to produce material goods such as factories, clothes, and foods, rather exchanging of data and information and some knowledge. And this involves technology, media, and internet. So let's go first to technology. Notable example of technological advancements is the founding of Federal Express or FedEx 1970s. It makes use of computer technology in its deliveries. So Federal Express or the FedEx is an American multinational delivery services company. So what do we mean by multinational? Multinational, it is a corporate organization that owns or controls the productions of goods in at least one country other than its home country. Space-based technologies, namely communication satellites, enable global telecommunication system by relaying signals with voice, video, and data too, and form one or many locations. So, space-based technologies includes spacecrafts, satellites, space stations, and support infrastructures, equipment, and procedures. These involve common everyday services such as weather forecasting, remote sensing, GPS system, satellite televisions, and some long-distance communication system. Critically rely on space infrastructure. Also, the messenger involved in this kind of technology. The launching of satellites for military surveillance, the use of global positioning system or the GPS, and the operation of global navigation system or the GNS is the example of it. And to media, McLuhan and Flory 2005 argue that in the new media age, the importance lies in the medium, the way in which the message is transmitted, not necessarily in the content presented through the medium. It means televisions, radios, and newspapers have been shaping the individual subjectivity and culture, not only locally but globally, according to Ritzer 2015. In addition to that, a French theorist, Guy Debord, emphasizes the idea of media spectacle, the sophistication and ubiquity of spectacular visual in televisions. So let's go to the last part, which is the internet. When one mentions online social networking, spam, and computer viruses, it is the internet that binds them all, and the internet is a mark of contemporary growth. And according to Ritzer 2015, the internet has prompted a flat-word thesis. Anyone can be involved in it, and at least theoretically. In order to control internet access and use, there are mechanisms such as personal password, or in the case of Chinese government, which is the Great firewall. So our last topic is the global citizenship. So what is global citizenship, or what makes you a good citizen? So global citizenship contributes to society and the culture of the local, global, and digital community in a responsible, accountable, and ethical manner. Engages in local and global initiatives to make a difference, learns from and with diverse people, interacts safely and responsibly within a variety of communities, creates a positive digital footprint. Example is check the content you are being tagged in and remove those that are offensive or inappropriate, and that it helps you to have a positive reputation online. And the last one is relates to the environment and is mindful of the importance of all living things. So that means global citizenship is all about encouraging young people to develop the knowledge, skills, and values they need to engage with the world. And it's about the belief that we can all make a difference. Global citizenship nurtures personal respect and respect for others, wherever they live. It encourages individuals to think deeply and critically about what is equitable and just, and what will minimize harm to our planet. Exploring global citizenship themes to help learners grow more confident in standing up for their beliefs and more skilled in evaluating the ethics and impact of their decisions. So means global citizenship is a way of living that recognizes our world is an increasingly complex wave of connections and interdependencies, a world in which our choices and actions may have repercussions for people and communities, locally, nationally, or internationally. Global citizenship assumes that as members of the world, human beings have shared responsibilities, inherent rights, and entitlements, and identities that exceed local and national, physical, and politically assigned limitations. So, in other words, global citizenship is one's undeniable membership in a world political order by virtue of one's being human. A person's global citizenship simply takes precedence over his or her national citizenship. So global citizenship is defined by aspects found experience of nation states to extend protection, accord rights, demand defined rules, powers and authority operating within a defined territory. In this case, a well-defined relationship between the citizen and the political entity which one formally belongs to is obvious and perceivable. In other words, the arrangements and relationship are physically confined in a definite geographic locations. So on the other hand, global citizenship is an extension of the nationally defined concept of citizenship, as it also requires loyalty, responsibility, and obligations from individuals possessing differing national citizenship but do not have the necessary structure and entity, government to do so. So global citizenship has also a benefits. First, build your own understanding of the world events. Think about their values and what's important to them. Take learning into the real world. Challenge ignorance and intolerance. Get involved in their local, national, and global communities. Develop an argument and voice their opinions. What's more, global citizenship inspires and informs teachers and parents too. But above all, it shows young people that they have a voice. The world may be changing fast, but they can make a positive difference and help build a fairer, safer, and more secure world for everyone. I have heard sayings that think globally, act locally. It embodies the idea that instead of waiting for grand breakthrough to fix the world, we should implement environmentally conscious solutions into everyday decisions and actions. So that's all. Thank you and God bless.